welcome. We're going to talk about sleep.
Have we started?
I did the thing for
Oh,
Paisley
that's
to
what
show.
it is?
Yeah,
okay,
to
I thought it
show.
was like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but then that's hard to see visually.
Okay.
So we're
Got
going
it.
to see. So
well, let's talk about sleep.
sleep.
Today
Eyes
is
open, eyes closed.
I mean, she's definitely gotten sleepier over the years.
Yeah, she's aged.
Oh my gosh, all she wants to do is sleep.
And so we were going to talk about prenatally.
Mm-hmm.
Prenatally
Wait,
or
is
even
this on
conception. Oh, yours is on, yes.
Okay, yours is on.
Mine is on, yes. That's like our biggest fear is
Uh-huh.
that something is not on and we have started and 30 minutes later is...
and you're like, oh, nothing got recorded.
Yeah. Oh God, it's the worst. So welcome back to Coffee and Childbirth. We're going to talk a little bit prenatally.
Oh, we didn't cheer.
We're going to cheers.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Coffee and Childbirth. Mm-hmm.
Our throat candy and some nice cold water here for me. Hot water for you.
Very hot water. Well, tea.
Oh. So we're going to talk about sleep prenatally.
Yes.
So when it comes to even conception, preconception, or just like sleep habits and what's happening hormonally, like you'd mentioned, nutritionally.
Yeah.
My head always goes to ergonomics first and ruling out. So not that one supersedes the other,
correct.
But like if someone's coming to me and they're 25 weeks pregnant and they have just started having sleep problems, I will see if there's a pain component or an ergonomic component.
Of course.
And then we will be looking at, okay, is there something else too that maybe is contributing to that? But my background would be in referring to someone who has more nutritional support if that ended up being the biggest missing piece.
Right.
So when it comes to how you would approach that, like what would be a 25-week first-time mom who's just now, and I say just now because you're probably going to be like, well, you're staying up way too late, or you're looking at screens before you go, or these things that like have always been there but never were an issue for us before.
Right. Like,
I didn't eat dinner or something.
I had an ice cream, before bedtime.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think as a chiropractor, but because I practice more neurology-based chiropractic, I think sleeping patterns, physical, positioning, all of those things I do address. And everybody's so different, body type wise. Are they sleeping next to a big giant man, or are they sleeping next to a small man who doesn't snore, or all these
who
different
does,
right? There's so many different factors. So I kind of don't emphasize it as much as I used to back in my old office.
Which part?
The ergonomics part of it, right? I used to sell pillows and all that stuff. And then as time has passed and learning more about sleep patterns and what we are doing during the daytime and how that affects us at nighttime, that has definitely shifted my focus more. And then that also I emphasize lifestyle changes and habits for sleep, but I also then support it with supplements as well.
Right.
So I kind of try to hit it from all angles. I definitely don't emphasize the ergonomics as much as I used to, which I think you, with your practice, because you get to go to their home and see their environment, I think
it kind of naturally brings up some of those
really
questions.
Makes a big difference. Absolutely.
Of like, so you had like how many cups of coffee, or you had like how many Red Bulls in the afternoon today? Or like what's the...
But you get to see their sleeping, like their bedrooms. So that can be an easier approach for you, because now you can be hands-on, direct, and I'm not like imagining how they're sleeping anymore. So for me, I definitely, probably also because since we work together, if I have a patient that have that kind of issue and they're like really having a problem and they've tried everything under the rainbow with me, then I'm like, okay, maybe it's time. Because if you're like 25 weeks in and you're having problems with this and it's not hormonal, it's not all this stuff. Okay, you need to go see somebody who can come to your house and like do an ergonomic assessment.
Or
just like a
movement
workspace.
Yes,
they have an ergonomic specialist.
Yes,
they need a sleep specialist. And so anyway, so that's how I approach it. And I do talk about the nutrition aspect a lot with my patients.
Do you feel like, so I am not a stellar, perfect nutritional candidate. I'm definitely not as bad as I could be or as people I know, but I'm also not like clean everything, no caffeine, whole earth, blah, blah, blah. Not because I don't want to, but just that's just the reality of my lifestyle and who I live with. Like that's just family reality is a different reality, right? So, different for every family.
They call it crunchy moms here, apparently.
Yeah. Yes. So like there's, and maybe, you know, there's a lot of like family dynamics there with like, okay, you say to jump and your spouse says how high. It's not always the same way, you know, in every family. So I say eat a broccoli. He's like, I hate a broccoli and never in my life I would rather die. So it's okay. Everybody's different. So I'm navigating that as an adult. What would you say, like nutritionally though, you see most often that moms either prenatally, mostly prenatally, that are like, oh, it's a light bulb moment for them. Like, oh, I didn't realize
I think the biggest thing is bad fats, right?
Okay,
yeah. Bad fats is definitely a big part of like, oh, I'm pregnant, so I can just eat. This is what I'm craving for, so I'm just going to eat this because I am craving that and I deserve it mentality.
Like a fake fat.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like not an
seed oil fats to highly processed fats. Right.
Okay.
Understanding different kinds of fats. And when I say fats, that's also part of the oils that we use.
Yeah, like an oil, a sauce.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing.
So it can be, like you said, sauce is a big one because you don't see it as fat. They're like, oh, it's a sauce.
Yeah.
No, it's also
but what's
oils
in the
and
sauce,
fats and
though?
Sugars and salt.
Yeah, what's in the liquid of the sauce. Just like saying, oh, it's a coffee drink.
Yeah.
But also, it's also a Frappuccino drink, which is like all the shit that's blended.
So fats is a big one. And they because the American diet is surrounded by sugar and bad fake fats, people don't realize what that's doing to their system and their cortisol level and how that affects their sleep as well.
Yeah.
So our daytime habits is definitely a big mirror to what's happening during our sleep. So when I see pregnant moms, and it's a learning curve for a lot of them. Some are bigger curves, some are smaller. And I think it really makes a difference when that individual really wants to learn how to change their lifestyle versus someone says, well, I don't understand any of that. And I kind of leave little morsels of information for them. And if they pick that up, fantastic. If not, then I'm still here to support that. So my pregnant moms, I would say, and I think because they're in that mindset of like, I have to feed for two, they tend to definitely eat.
I'm just thinking of
more
myself when I was pregnant. But go ahead, yes.
So they tend to eat more than they really probably should. And it's not even just the quantity of food, it's the quality of the food that they're eating, right? So I want them to eat a lot. I just want them to eat a lot of quality food, right? So fat is a big one. And then sugar, easy processed simple sugars are another big one. So I would say those are the two: simple processed sugar and then fake fats or bad fats will be the two things that really affects the brain and be able to sleep.
Sure, because you're more satiated if you have a more quality fat.
Correct.
So, which, if in layman terms or common terms, you are going to feel fuller, which will bring you out of the sympathetic and into the parasympathetic to then sleep. So it'll help you be like sleepier or, you know, not a direct correlation, but like you were saying, if you're trending over the entirety of your day, your work day or whatever, and then you're transitioning into home, you would rather have that happen.
There's a huge partnership between cortisol and insulin, and people don't understand how that would affect their sleep. Maybe a little bit on the cortisol. They go, oh, I hear that's a stress hormone.
It's definitely more popular over the last whatever years.
Yes.
And so you're saying just they know that part, but they don't know the insulin part.
Correct.
So insulin part, I think diabetes.
Yes.
As far as that goes.
Yeah. And that's the go-to, insulin, I must have diabetes. That's not always the case. Right. It is triggered by the cortisol level in our system. So our insulin is also, in a way, our stress level, hormone as well, right? Indicator. Because if you're under a lot of stress and you're putting your body under stress, and stress can be there's a big difference between, or a big definition of what stress is to an individual. In chiropractic, we talk about the physical stress, the emotional and mental stress, and also the chemical stress. So when your body is under, any of those type of stress, and it can be a gradual level of stresses, or it can be one major traumatic event stress, right? And I think the one that's the most detrimental is the overtime gradual stress.
Right. There's a lot of, I don't have the research studies on hand, but there's a lot of research and talk amongst professionals about the fact that it's the chronic load of that versus I have this one instance. Like I drop my kids off in the morning and it's that hour and a half is a large spike, but it actually shouldn't be an hour and a half. It should be 5 minutes of the spike of maybe leaving them, not all of that entirety before.
I think it's the inability to taper that cortisol down.
Yes.
We live in a very highly fight or flight state of culture. So our brain is definitely fired all the time. Just sitting here, being in the fluorescent light and looking at screens, that's already stimulating my sympathetic side.
Minimum of two different assaults or stimulations, like you said, to that.
Yes.
So when it comes to, even in that kid example or that drop off, transitional parent, transitional time, I definitely feel like when I have a chance to have 15 to 20 minutes or even 30 minutes to go from there to my first client's home or daycare or whatever it is, like the kids' day, not my kids, the appointment where the daycare is happening.
Yes.
That is helpful in making that a transition versus like if I was working from home and the kids were at home and then I just start work at 8:30 and there's no transition, you have no ability to get out of that loop, and then you're usually just carrying it with you.
Yeah.
Or maybe a pregnant mom who is working from home.
Yes.
And she's a first-time mom and they're making me nervous.
I was like, that spiked my cortisol just now.
Spike. And they're like, okay, I work from home. I'm a first-time mom.
Yes.
I'm going to start work and then I'm going to go straight to my OB appointment and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go to work. Right. And there's never this like letting yourself, they're going to take a call on the way to the OB appointment and then they're going to take a call for something else on the way home.
Correct.
And there's never this ability to turn that off.
Yeah.
And so then translating that to the sleep part of if you have that consecutive buildup, it's like you're depositing that in the bank of your sleep all day long. So you're just kind of like,
you're always building it up.
up.
Yeah. Instead of being able to metabolize it and then bring it down. And I think that's when your insulin will start kicking in and saying, oh, we must feed this stress. Right. And so there's going to be more sugar in your blood system and then you're going to crave it when it tanks down as well. And then your insulin,
because that's your new normal. Right. Because you're thinking that the low point is your new normal, but it's actually still too high. So you're going to try to reach that.
And then you're going to keep raising. And that will also lead to like really, high triglycerides going to be also be affected by it. And we talk about bad LDL and good LDL, but they're all really all LDLs and we need all of those things. And people think cholesterol is all bad. And I think Maple is ready to jump off. And she's like, I'm done with this conversation. I'm going to just put her down. She can just go to her bed. Go on. She's like, it's too hot on you.
She says, I don't want.
I want to go to sleep. She was like, I just want to go to sleep. You guys are talking.
You guys are talking about it. So, okay. So nutritionally working into kind of that chemical or that hormonal piece, which I think sometimes with so much of what you're told in pregnancy is what not to do.
Good point.
So it's kind of like, well, if I'm not supposed to eat this, or I'm not supposed to do that, or I'm not whatever. What am I actually supposed to do?
Yeah. So I try to emphasize with my patients what you're supposed to be doing,
which is
right?
helpful.
Yeah, because when you take away something,
yeah,
just even a 5-year-old,
totally,
there will be tantrums and they're not going to comply.
Yes.
So I say the same thing with my adult patients as well. I love them dearly. Not that I see them as a 5-year-old, but that's just our mentality, right?
Well, and when you're learning something for the first time, or you're doing something, so if you're even the second time or the third time, every pregnancy is different, but if you're doing this relatively new behavior, you're going to feel like you have less ability than you did before because it's new.
And it causes a lot of like what ifs and insecurities and can I do it? So I try to keep things really, really simple. Like when I tell my patients about sleep issues, number one, as a chiropractor, I usually look at the upper cervical, and their upper cervical usually, which is where the parasympathetic lives, right? The half of the parasympathetic, or more than half of the parasympathetic nervous system is housed in the actual from the occiput, which is the skull region, all the way down to about C4. And so we want to make sure that that area is also well aligned and it's not causing any kind of stress to be built up or any pressure to be built up, because that will hinder your ability to be able to tap into that response of parasympathetics, right? So that you can sleep and rest and digest your food properly. So as a chiropractor, I will usually, when I see a big spike of my scanner and my palpation, the first thing I'll ask, and my patients will know, how did you sleep last night? Yeah. Usually they go, it was a crappy night of sleep. Yeah. And that usually it's affected. It could be one way or other, like the bad sleep caused the upper cervical to be not right. And then the upper cervical, something happened and is causing the sleep to be disturbed.
And it's so hard to know because we're not, especially as adults, if we're talking about prenatally, there's so much that has happened over even if you're only like 20 or even if you're only 25 or whatever, it's 25 years of life that it's hard to start from like a fresh slate. So it's helpful for some guide, but humans are hard in that respect.
And there's like pattern that we build over time, and it's hard to break that pattern.
Of course.
So as a chiropractor, that's what I look at. And then secondary is obviously how's your sleeping, is your bed sinking in, and is it 20 years old mattress, and so on and so forth. And then the next thing I talk about is lifestyle. Before I give them supplements, anything external, it's usually the last thing I want to give them. So it's usually, is it what's going on internally? Is it where you're sleeping? And then the lifestyle that you actually have. So the daytime habits,
like
that
the
they have.
circadian rhythm
type. And so I think that's a really good one. I usually tell my moms, I say in the morning, wake up and just look at outside. Open your window, look outside, and get a lot of daylight into your eyes. And the more you do that, and you more pattern at the same time, like let's say 7 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, just go out into the balcony and just look at the surrounding for 5 minutes. That really resets the rhythm that you have in your system. And then that will it's almost like an alarm clock in your brain, and resets it in your eyes, and then your brain goes, oh, it's daytime. Yeah. And it's very different than window without window. Right?
Yes.
And I actually learned that from a podcast that I listened to, and Andrew Huberman's a big guy.
Yeah.
And
his are long.
These are very long. Yeah, it's very
30
long.
minutes.
But it's also he uses big words, so I could understand. Most average person probably like, this is too much to understand.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the content is really dense. There's a lot of like conceptual things that are hard. And then also you're asking me to listen to that. If you're if you're not in a professional capacity, you're asking me to listen to this for almost 2 hours. Are you kilding me?
So we need to simplify
more
it.
Than an hour and a half, a movie. So
right. And another thing that I learned recently, actually, which I have not done until recently, when I learned that, was looking at the sunset, if you can, right? Because that really, again, resets the brain, okay, the sun's going down. And that's basically our circadian rhythm, right?
Yeah. So applying the same morning routine for the evening routine.
Correct.
Because those two things are technically the same. They're just on opposite ends of the day.
Yeah. And that twilighting is really important for us, because that's when your brain goes, oh, we must start shutting things down.
Yeah.
Right. And I get really sleepy by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like if I'm up until 11, there's something else that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing. Right.
Yeah.
Good
for you.
Yeah. And it helps when I don't have children, right? Like I live alone.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's on my time and what I do, but I also understand with moms that have bedtime routines and all of those things
or
that
like
has to be
spouses
done.
who work weird
hours,
maybe
right?
weird hours because they're shift workers or something like that.
Right.
But there's a lot of, I think, like you had mentioned, there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily, it's kind of like lifestyle ergonomics. I mean, it's a combination of the two, of where it's like you are having to pay attention to it. It's technically free. It's technically simple.
It is free. Yeah.
But simple is not always easy.
Correct. Well, I think it's not easy because it's not habitual yet.
Correct.
So when you turn that into an habitual thing, brushing your teeth in the beginning when you're just starting a child with brushing your teeth is really not easy, right?
Yeah.
But once they get into that habit, it becomes much easier. Same thing with adults. We're just much more stubborn at it.
Sure, because we built up so much more of that resistance or that time.
Yeah. There's all these little techniques that you can practice.
Sure.
Another sleep. So I'm obsessed with sleep, honestly, because I think going through perimenopause too. I used to be able to, up until my 30s. I mean, I'd be up until like 12 o'clock just working or doing reading, learning, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I wake up at like 6 o'clock and go to work, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even 5:30 if I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, right? And totally fine. I have realized sleep dictates my life now, right? In my 40s. And I have protected my sleep as much as I possibly can. And learning from all these experts as well. Mark Walker is another, Dr. Mark Walker. Yeah, Dr. Mark Walker is a sleep expert. And he talks about, oh man, like I can listen to his stuff forever. And he's got the most soothing voice. So if you do need to sleep, he will put you to sleep too with his voice. Okay. But I'm pretty sure it's Mark Walker.
I keep thinking that you're going to say Mark Wahlberg every time. And I'm like, is there a video?
Doesn't he have a burger joint?
He does. It's so good.
Right? Oh, I haven't tried it yet.
He's one of my longtime, this is completely off subject, but he's one of my longtime favorite
oh, really?
Crushes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because mine was Donnie Wahlberg.
There you go.
And I just went to their concert, so.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So, I was obsessed with Donnie.
Yeah. Every time you say Mark Walker, I'm like, Mark what? And then
Mark
it's in my head,
Walker.
and then I'm like,
yes.
Over here doing this.
He's an
sleep
expert as well. He's got a couple books out, and I've obviously also listened to a couple of his podcasts, very informative as well. And he definitely talks about habit and the effects of caffeine and what time and how you need to pattern your daytime so that your sleep is protected at night. And he talks about the chemistry, the brain chemistry as well. And one thing that I learned from his expertise was that melatonin, I knew melatonin doesn't work very well for most people because I've prescribed it to patients and
they're like, nothing.
It's not working anymore. And I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
And obviously we want like good serotonin and oxytocin and all of those happy chemicals in our body. But melatonin apparently does not have, and there's a lot of studies that he was talking about, that there's not a lot of good supporting, melatonin does not get uptaken very well in earlier years. So later years, 60 and up, they tend to work better.
60 and up?
60 and up. I think it was 55 or 60, somewhere around there.
Like 60
so retirement age and up, they tend to use melatonin much better in their brain.
Interesting.
Than people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Interesting. And then would also track, that would be pediatric or under.
Yes, correct.
I mean, that would, right?
Yes. Okay. So the younger you are your brain goes, I don't need this. This is not what's going to keep me asleep.
Interesting. I wonder if it's because it's like, well, we can create this on our own. Like there's an easier, like it's easier for those those age ranges to have the ability to
he talks about that as well, right? So
But you have to be able to, obviously, like you said, with combination of oxytocin, serotonin, and those other hormonal shifts and things, that has to happen first for you to probably
get
create
to the melatonin.
Yes. And so we're not creating any of that. And so that's why we don't have it.
Yeah. So it was really informative to learn that as well. And so melatonin gets uptaken much easier to senior years than younger years. And then, he talks about caffeine and when caffeine should be done. He talks about how for most people, and everybody's a little bit different, obviously, and how they process caffeine.
Right.
But if you're drinking coffee or caffeinated drinks, past 1 p.m., he's like, I'm going to guarantee you are still not going to get good sleep.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a big difference between, and the more I listen to his work as well, there's definitely, just because you fell asleep really well does not mean that you slept well throughout the night, right? And even if you don't wake up in the middle of the night, that doesn't also guarantee that you're going to have good quality sleep. So all those things depends on what is happening during the daytime as well.
And so that would make sense with the prenatal, who we're thinking about in this scenario is like prenatally, we would need to rule out if there's any, really like red flag, kind of higher severity mechanical. So like joint muscle mechanical type issues that are creating that. And then obviously, like you said as well, we're, the kind of the card deck that we're looking at is going to be, okay, what lifestyle things, what nutritional things, which kind of the chemical stuff is like what we would be talking about that goes into the nutritional and the hormonal. But, you're talking to your patients about like those 3 basic things of what is really happening on the day-to-day and how are we helping you kind of take down each one of those things so that you can have better sleep when you're pregnant.
Correct.
I think the not funny, I don't know, the
most interesting
situation that I will have most often is moms that are pregnant and they're like, I can't sleep because I can't roll over in bed. Well, they don't say that. They say, I can't sleep because my back hurts or my pubic symphysis, so like lightning crotch hurts or something like that. And it's not everybody, but a healthy majority. When we practice bridges, like little baby bridges to actually move yourself around in your bed, then they don't have that pain and then they can sleep through the night. And I'm like, cool. Like, this is simple. I'm not going to be, it's just funny. It's just interesting to how like I still would address those other things because like we were talking about with prenatally, you want to pay attention to those other things anyways, right? You're going to have more restful sleep, even if you're not waking up in pain, if you pay attention to the lifestyle things and the nutritional things. But it's always like kind of surprising that
like the simple little
simplest
things.
tweak or like the simplest adjustment to be like, I'm not saying that everything is simple, but sometimes it really does take talking to the right person so that they can just say, let's try this. Like, this is low hanging fruit. You're going to have to do this anyway. So let's try it. Which is always funny.
The Atlas adjustment, which is that C1.
Super high up there.
Super high up there. And so the interesting thing that I've heard over and over again over the years is that some of my moms have started calling it the tranquilizing adjustment because they have seen it in their children as well, where if that does show up as a problem and I adjust it, they immediately will pass out.
Which is scary. We didn't talk. This is
not passed out on the visit.
Right. This is a subject.
But they are passed out in the car on their way home.
Yeah.
And the moms are yawning.
They have power down.
They're quieting down. Their parasympathetics is kicking in. And not every single kid is like that. I would say probably a small number of kids, they get more energetic and then they go home and crash. It all depends on their diet and lifestyle. But moms have also, was like, oh, Dr. Reed, when you adjust that whatever you did up here last time, I was yawning all the rest of the day and I just wanted to take a nap and I went to bed super early. So I love that. I love when that happens because I know that they're going to come back the next morning and they're going to feel refreshed, repaired, and regaining their energy back for the rest of the day.
And then you can be like, how do we maintain that?
Correct.
So it's like, okay,
that's the hard part.
That's the hard part. But that's the reality of like, you're like, I know that you have the capability to feel this situation, feel this happening. How do we make this reappeatable? Maybe not perfectly every time, but at least definitely closer to where
I think consistency of appointments, and I don't know how it is with your work, but most of my patients that really understand the philosophy and the approach that I have with chiropractic, they do become lifetime patients. Right? They're like, I can't go a whole month anymore without getting adjusted.
Right.
Typically, I'll see them every 2 weeks for adults and kids, depending on their age and condition. That varies. But for most adults, they're like, if I go 3 weeks, and that's with me as well. If I go past 2 weeks without getting worked on, then I feel like my body's falling apart and I can't sleep well. I'm not digesting as good. I'm not pooping as good, things
so
like
it just depends on how much they're
consistency
moving through things when they're not with you. And then, like you said, how much they are able to get that repeatability. How do those two things go together? So that was a very interesting discussion on sleep. Sleep is like we said, we kind of kept it to prenatally or preconception of when we're just thinking about that time when you have the ability to just manage the simplicity of yourself in a situation. And then when it comes to I have lots of thoughts.
Well, just to wrap it up, there's more information about hormone changes prenatally and how that affects the sleep. And that's also a big one. As your progesterone is going up during pregnancy to keep that baby, that definitely is a protective mode in your body as well. So definitely sleep is going to be affected in regards to hormonally. And then the other thing is, just going back to nutrition, supplements are great, obviously, and it's there if you need them, but it really has to come down from nutritional standpoint as well. And just again, and then going back to moms who are pregnant and they're 25 weeks, 30 weeks, and they're craving for things. That's really, I think, where you can I see the correlation between gestational diabetes with what they're eating, not because they're just eating, but it's just the stress level of I am craving this and I want to have this, and that's a stress level combination of the actual food that they're eating.
Correct.
Right? So I think that definitely also affects the sleep as well. So that insulin level isn't just based on, I don't understand, Dr. Ree, why I don't eat junk food. I don't eat all this stuff, but then I have gestational diabetes. I don't understand why. And I go, well, let's talk about your stress level and how you process stress. That's going to kick in that cortisol, and then that insulin's going to go up, and then they're going to be like, oh, you have diabetes now. That definitely can happen.
That would be a good topic too, just how those things interplay together. But so
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Actually, just to wrap it up.
For reals.
What is your go-to thing when they are 25 weeks pregnant and you get to be in their home? What do you see the most in their bedroom where you're like, you really shouldn't have this for your sleep? Or you should have this for your sleep?
I think usually a pregnancy pillow that they like. And I know that's the most canned answer, a basic answer, but one that they like.
Is that hard to find, do you think, for
sometimes
most
people? I have one that I always recommend first that I actually really like. It was by Boppy, actually, that I didn't think I would really like. But I always say try that out, finding a pregnancy pillow. And then also it usually goes into the lifestyle things you had said. So do they watch TV in their bedroom every night until
that's 1 a big one
a.m.? Do they fall asleep to the TV? Do they have, like you said, kind of random lights on? Because now we have every electric device in our room. So it's even if it's not on, I cover our internet router because it's
smart.
It has a really obnoxiously bright just indicator light. I don't know why. Stuff like that.
Those are all LED lights. So
Yeah, it's like, do we really need this?
Yeah.
Or those are the biggest things, those lifestyle things. And then when it comes to like the PT side of what's the thing I see the most commonly is they're just not super, super mobile. So when they get into bed, the avalanche of all of their discomfort is now settled on them. So moving in bed is hard. Right. So if you can keep moving, like rolling over and not feeling like you're moving, at one point, 36, 40 weeks, it will feel like you can't move. But, you know, up to that point, we want you to feel like you can move without discomfort. And that's kind of the biggest thing. And so if they're like, oh, I can't even do a bridge, or I don't even know why this hurts. And then I'm like watching them try. I'm like, oh, this is hurting.
Your thoughts really about like
moving, stretching, strength,
movement, coordination, is key, seriously,
you know, all of that.
Then do you, what is your take on, I was only told to be sleeping only on my left side?
Because I said we were going to wrap it up.
I know, but this can go on. I know. Okay, it's my last one. Okay, because I have my opinions about that as well.
So, laying on your left side, I did that with both of my pregnancies. I would wake up sometimes on my right side, but I wasn't super stressed about it. I think I don't really have any specific opinions on that. Okay. If that's what if your OB said that you are holding on to that like a life raft because you're terrified you're going to hurt your baby, go for it. If you have massive back pain laying on your left side, I bet there's something happening there.
Correct.
That it's, I can help you. I mean,
to me, it's like the
I can help you.
So
that you can feel more confident in your brain and feel less stressed about it. Right. The one that I had most opinions, I guess, about is like the laying on your back. That one I feel like is the most annoying because I get that a lot.
Okay. Like wanting to be on their back?
They're saying like, I'm afraid to lay on my back. I'm 13 weeks pregnant. I'm afraid to lay on my back. And I'm like, well, okay,
why not?
This is kind of a lot for right now.
Okay.
Like 13 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so really to wrap it up, then to me, you know, I tell my patients, if you're waking up stiff and exhausted and tired and in pain because you're thinking you can only stay on your left side, that's incorrect.
Yes.
That's how I
So it does not outweigh.
Yeah.
Like
the
laying
benefits.
On your left side does not outweigh whether you are in pain, you're not getting restful sleep. And this is maybe a mass generalization, but most of the time those moms are doing it because they really, really want their baby to be healthy, which is a really great intention. That's very sweet. That's very responsible of you. You're being a great mom.
Around that too.
But that's exactly. It's not really coming from
we need to break
that's
that.
Like going to help you.
We need to break that understanding of like whole like must only sleep on left side. Yeah. So I mean, anyways,
plus it's like so simple to control.
It is
relatively
right.
So of course, if you're telling me sleep on my left side so that I can have all of my wishes and dreams come true, or change 20 habits in my day, I'm going to choose sleep on my left side to make sure my baby is a Harvard grad. I will do it. Sure.
So on that note, I mean, there's so much more we can talk about sleep, but I appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
Your opinions. Really I think we're on the same page about that. Last tip. If you can't sleep at night, try a little bit of grass-fed butter in your mouth and then go to bed.
Can't argue with that. You're telling me to eat butter willingly. Yeah, sure.
Put it in your mouth. Just leave it in your mouth. Let it melt.
Sure.
In your mouth.
Okay.
While you're in bed. And your brain's going to be like...
But I've always been I've always like, unless I'm pissed
sleeper.
off.
That's
which
different.
Has happened probably more in the last 6 years than ever in my life. If I'm angry, I won't sleep very well. But if I'm on my status quo, I'm like,
knock up.
Bye. And then I don't really want to get up.
That's great.
I'm a slow getter upper. I'm like, I want to hear the birds sing, which don't exist here. I want to hear like.
But what about the two boys in your house? You don't want to hear that waking up?
I mean, I do, but it's not gentle. None of that is like, I would love to have like, draw the blinds up. Like you said, look it outside.
Yes.
Have warm liquid.
Yes.
And like stretch a little bit. Like a cat. I would love to like get up like a cat and just
yes.
like, oh, okay. Versus like at my house, it's like,
mm-hmm.
who's here? Someone's here.
Definitely different from my home, for sure.
Yeah, like you said, you can protect the whole environment where you can like sit on your balcony.
I do.
Drink the dust in.
Yes. Along with, so I do my apple cider vinegar in the morning. Warm apple cider vinegar is what I do in the morning in my balcony as I'm looking at the construction that's happening around me. God, it's so
industrial
awful.
progress.
Oh my gosh. And I can see why there's so much sleep problems here now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a great conversation.
Yeah,
there's so much more about sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Please check out Mark Wall. Now you got me saying Mark Wahlberg. Dr. Mark Walker stuff. I'm going to hashtag him.
Hashtag Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
He lives in Vegas. We could ask him.
I've heard he lives here now. So good for him. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned for more.
Yep. We'll see you next time. Bye.